Is this thing on? You want me to answer your questions, don't you? Okay. You're asking me about the corona pandemic. They started calling it corona, and then they changed it to COVID-19. I don't know why. I remember that pandemic. I was pretty old back then, but now I'm 128 years old. Yep. It was crazy back then. What do I remember about it? Well, the weird thing was, as soon as people found out about it, they started buying up all the toilet paper in the whole country. It was crazy. People were stockpiling it. I don't know why. I have no idea. They also bought hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes instead of sharing it for all of us. They gobbled it all up and kept it for themselves. People went absolutely nuts. I don't know what happened. Well, when it first hit Illinois, they closed the schools. And the kids at that point were all excited. It was like a snow day. It was actually like a lot of snow days put together. Back in the day, we used to get days off when the weather was really bad and snowy or cold. And the kids and the teachers would all cheer. It was so exciting. They called it a snow day. We loved them. Then the government got strict and said no school for the rest of the year. Oh my, the kids were not so happy then. I don't know. They were sad. They wanted to see each other in the worst way. I get it. Me too. I was a teacher back then. Did I tell you that? Yeah, I was a teacher back in 2020 at a school called Pleasant Hill Elementary. Can you see me okay? Okay. It became different and difficult for the kids. They just wanted to be together, to learn. Kids learn better by being together, I'll tell you that much. We learned from each other. I learned from the kids and the kids learned from me. It was a two-way street, but when we weren't together, it was rough. I tried though. I tried really hard. I wanted to teach them two-step problem solving. I remember that one. And telling time. It was hard. But those parents, they were amazing. Some of them were working from home on their computers and try to teach the kids. And maybe dealing with babies. We had several babies in our class that year, brothers and sisters. Those parents were amazing. I don't know. I wonder if my class ever really thanked their parents for all they did during that coronavirus time. I mean, they were working full time, raising the kids. It was a lot of work for those parents. I don't know if the kids ever said thank you. They should have, though. They should have. So the government said we all had to wear masks. So we walked around with masks on. It was hard to see each other in the grocery store. My glasses got fogged up all the time, you know what I'm saying. We had to stay 6 feet away from each other. 6 feet? That's more than you think. When you'd see those lines on the store floors, they put tape, you realize 6 feet is a long way away from each other. You can't hold hands, can't get close and talk. When the government first shut down the schools, I said, well, I'll start organizing my stuff. So I went through all my stuff. I've got a lot of it then. I organized it, I labeled it, I put it in piles to give away. I didn't need all that stuff anymore. I was already a grandma at that point. Well, I didn't need it anymore, so I thought I'd give it away. But I couldn't even give it away. The churches were closed. Goodwill was closed. Salvation Army was closed. So my husband and I made a pile We put it in our corner of our kitchen. We just kept adding to that pile day after day. It was so weird, but that pile got big. I remember we even went to church on the computer, even Easter Sunday. We got all dressed up. We sat there, we sang the songs with the computer, if you can believe that. It was the strangest thing. We prayed hard. We prayed hard for this pandemic to end. We all needed it to end. I remember the news was terrible. Every time you turned it on, they were saying how many people were sick, how many people were dying from it. It was terrible. I tried not to watch it very much. Sometimes I cried. I cried a lot, and that's okay, because that's how I was dealing with my emotions. I think everybody cried a little back then, that's for sure. I was grieving, you might say, grieving my old life. My life as being a teacher. I was grieving that. And I was grieving being with the kids. It was so not right. During the pandemic, my son and his wife had a baby. I couldn't go see it for 6 months. 6 months I couldn't go see it. My daughter had a baby right before the pandemic. I wasn't allowed to hold him. It was so sad. I was so incredibly sad about that. But you know what? That's what I kind of remember, the sadness part of our pandemic. But you know what? It wasn't all bad. Things changed, and some were for the better. There were a lot of people getting sick. But I didn't get sick. My husband didn't get sick. Our kids and grandkids didn't get sick. We were so fortunate. We stayed healthy through it. We must have kept our distance, our social distancing, they used to call it. We kept it. Yeah. We were still able to even work. My husband worked on the computer all day. We could go to the grocery. We could get food. Wasn't all that awful. You know what? We learned how to do this new app called Zoom. It was the newest thing at the time. We could see each other. I could see my kids and my grandkids. We talked every day. Every day we talked, and we could see each other. Toward the end, both my new grandbabies would quiet their cries when they heard their Grandma Marty's voice. Yeah. I couldn't hold them, but I could still sing to them and make them happy. It was okay. And you know what? We and a lot of families were super busy before this. My husband traveled 5 days a week. He was gone. A lot of families had their kids in every activity imaginable. Soccer and dance and ballet and karate. Everything. They were coming and going all the time. It was crazy. Then the pandemic hit. And you know what? They got to spend time with their family. I think those families in their heart will remember that they cherished that extra time they got to be together. So it wasn't so bad. And boy, we learned some new stuff. We learned something called technology. Yeah, a lot of it. We thought we were so cool before going on the internet. But boy, we learned so much. Teachers and students were learning new things every day. We learned how to go on Google Classroom, which is kind of like passing out papers, but on a computer. We got so good at it, the kids could do their assignment, turn their papers in, get graded. It was amazing to me what those kids could do. Those young whippersnappers, I tell you, they knocked my socks off when it hit. They were so good. They could do work online. They could do anything. My. I remember how the world changed because of this coronavirus. It was March 2020 when that pandemic hit. I remember being scared and sad, but you know what? I started looking for all the good in the world. And there was a ton. You just had to look for it with your eyes. And there was so much good going on, even during those scary times. There were parades for people's birthdays. People were sewing masks and giving them out for free. Restaurants were closed, but they prepared food for all the doctors and nurses working in the hospitals. People drew nice messages on the sidewalk. I remember drawing "Have a nice day" a million times. Stay safe, we're in this together. Those were some of the common ones. Every night at 7 o'clock, the people in New York City went out and made all kinds of noise. They saw the good they could do. That year I was still teaching. Did I tell you I was a teacher back then? I was. It was at Pleasant Hill Elementary School, 2020. Those kids were the best group of kids I ever met. They knew what kindness really meant. They knew how to help each other, even before the virus hit. I will forever hold them in my heart in a special place. I just love those kids. My goodness, they are probably 78 or 79 right now. I wonder what they are up to these days. I wonder what they remember of the pandemic of 2020. I wonder.